Welcome, and it's today's session is all about business and how business and strategies are really important for hospitality. I'm Isabella from Restaurant Collective. I'm community manager and social media officer. You'll be having seeing me on the community hub, and I'm the person behind all the social media at the moment. And today we are joined by Paul Shaw, who is CEO of Restaurant Collective and also a business doctor strategist. Would you like to explain what a business doctor strategist is?
Hi, Isabella. Great to be here. Okay. So, a business doctor. What I do as a business doctor is I help business owners. I help the owners of small and medium-sized businesses build a strategy for growth for their business, so that they can start to reconnect with the reasons they got into business in the first place. They can enjoy doing the business that they do. They have a very clear set of goals and ambitions for what it is they want to achieve and when they want to achieve those goals by. And then we build a roadmap together to turn those goals and those ambitions into a reality. One of the hardest things to get across when we're talking about strategy is that at the end of the day, a good strategy is simply just a collection of thoughts, conversations, and actions that when you break them down, they all are quite simple, quite straightforward, and quite quick. But if you do them religiously, if you do them diligently and in the right order, then your strategy becomes a plan, and your plan helps you achieve everything that you set out to achieve for your business. So that's really what I do as a business doctor. I help business owners achieve their vision.
That's incredible. And also, you just happen to be the CEO of Restaurant Collective. And I was wondering, in kind of what made you think of Restaurant Collective, and this kind of what background do you have also bringing to Restaurant Collective?
So yes, Restaurant Collective is it's an idea that's probably been in the planning for about 18 months, possibly longer, and its origins lie back in the early noughties, really, when the founders of Restaurant Collective were at that time the founders of a business called Live Bookings. And Live Bookings was one of the first, if not the first, online restaurant booking platform, certainly in the UK. And at that time, I worked for lastminute.com. And I, amongst other things, was responsible for running the restaurant category for lastminute.com. And we had a problem. We didn't have a booking platform that we could use. So it was very difficult for lastminute.com customers to actually book tables. The solution that we found was Live Bookings. And as a result of that, lastminute.com took an investment in Live Bookings. That helped Live Bookings grow. That also helped Live Bookings to become an international business. Live Bookings subsequently rebranded to Book a Table, and Book a Table went from strength to strength, ended up getting sold to Michelin, I think in 2013. And so I've known the guys that set up Live Bookings for a good many years. And about 18 months ago, some of them came to me and said, we've got this idea. We've got this idea for Restaurant Collective. What do you think? Are you in? And I said, yep, where do I sign? And the rest is history, really. So that's how it all began. I guess we would, if we sort of trace back the origins of what Restaurant Collective actually is, where it began really was with technology. If you think of our backgrounds, we've all been involved in technology. particularly in entertainment, leisure, and hospitality, for the best part of our careers. And Restaurant Collective began by attempting to solve a problem that many, many restaurateurs face, which is that of the control and the ownership of their core data online. And it's a real problem in the restaurant space. And I know many people watching this Q&A will agree with that. But many restaurants, when they put their restaurant for listing on any kind of listing site, whether it's a local tourist site, whether that's a publication like Time Out, whether it's an organization like OpenTable, TripAdvisor, any of these big listing distribution channels, very often what happens is they lose control of their data, and their data ends up being wrong. Many restaurant owners have said to me, I checked out my restaurant data on this listing site, that listing site, and the restaurant name was wrong, or the email address was wrong, or the phone number was wrong. This absolutely fundamental data that is necessary to the operation of a successful business. And it's going out there into the digital world, and it's just wrong. And the problem is that restaurant owners have no control over what happens to that data, because they don't create it. And so we recognized that problem, and we set out to find a way to fix it. And so what we did is we developed a platform that enables restaurant owners to take control of their core data by creating what we call a single page website, which sits within our platform, within the Restaurant Collective platform, and it enables restaurant owners to create all of their core data for their restaurants. So restaurant description, images, contact details, opening times, social media links, map locations, downloads of menus, online booking capabilities. All of this data can be collected in a single place and loaded, fundamentally, this is a really important thing, loaded by the owner of the data, the restaurant owner themselves. And then what our platform does, very clever piece of technology, is it simply takes all of that data provided by all of our members and distributes it out to all of the listing and distribution channels that we work with at Restaurant Collective. And that data, whenever it is updated by the restaurant owner, immediately propagates out to, and in real time, updates on all of the listing channels where it is present. So it immediately solves that problem. It gives control of that core data back to the restaurant owner, and it means that if they change anything at all, it can immediately be updated. If they have seasonal menus or special offers, or they introduce a new delivery service, it can be updated and propagated out there immediately. And that means better business, more accurate data, and ultimately more bums on seats for the restaurant. So that's where it began. And that's what we spent a lot of time working on. However, that's not all that Restaurant Collective does. Restaurant Collective does an awful lot more than that, because one of the other things that we realized is we were talking to restaurants, bearing in mind actually that many of our founders are restaurateurs themselves, they've owned restaurants, they've run restaurants, they've been at the sharp end, so they know what it's like and they know where the problems lie. So we started to think, well, this is just one problem that we're solving, but there are many, many problems that face, in particular, independent restaurateurs week in, week out. And that's before we even get into the pandemic. And so we set out to not just stop at the single page website and the listings, but to look further afield and see what else we could do to make life better for independent restaurateurs. And what we came up with were, well, a number of things, actually. And one of the things that we did is we asked the community, what do you want? Where do you feel there is a gap? What are you lacking? And they gave us some really, really good insight. First thing they talked about was representation. And many independents feel that they're going it alone. They're on their own. It's lonely out there. They don't really feel connected to a community, and they don't feel represented. Now, I would caveat that by saying I think UK hospitality are doing an amazing job, particularly during the pandemic, to really represent the interests of the wider hospitality sector. But of course, independent restaurants are just one element of the hospitality sector, and they are probably underrepresented. Um, we feel that there is room for that to get better, and certainly our members and restaurant owners that we've asked feel the same way. So representation is one thing. Inclusion in listings and directories and distribution channels is another thing. Being a part of a community, feeling like they are actually connected to other restaurateurs who are going through similar things, facing similar problems, and have found solutions of one sort or another, and are willing to and happy to share those solutions and other things as well. It could be that there's a staff sharing opportunity there, where we can do a kind of an employee exchange scheme where really good people can get to find new work or additional work in the sector. And given the real challenges that restaurateurs are having at the moment, in particular with finding good staff, there's been this this skills drain over the past few months in the restaurant sector. Having ways in which they can get access to good people is going to be absolutely critical. So that's a really important part of the community. But also we felt that independents really suffer when it comes to getting good deals on all of those things that are important to you when you run a restaurant. And whether that's whether that's insurance, whether that's commission on your online booking system, whether that's table management software, whether that's getting the right deal for your stationery or your consumables, or whether you've got the best food procurement deals in place, or have you got the right energy deals? How can restaurant owners reduce the cost of operating their business day in, day out, and level the playing field, if you like, put them on a level playing field with larger chains and restaurant groups that have got that buying power because of their scale? So we thought, well, bringing together this community of restaurants in one place effectively lends them scale, because we can say to partners and suppliers of services to the industry, look, we've got all of these great restaurants all in one place. You have the opportunity to speak to them all. You have the opportunity to sell them your products and services. But what we want is for you to give us a great discount, a great offer, a permanent great offer, not just something that runs out after 3 months, on your core service. And if you do that, then we can get you into what we call our deals marketplace, which is where we have this wide collection of all sorts of different suppliers, all of them critical or crucial in one way or another to the restaurant trade, all providing great discounts on their core services. And those discounts are exclusive to Restaurant Collective. You can't get them outside of Restaurant Collective. So non-members wouldn't be able to access those deep deals. So that's another really important thing for us. Another one is the knowledge base. So this idea of being a community and sharing knowledge and ideas and best practice to make it easier for our members to run their businesses as effectively and as efficiently and as profitably as they possibly can. And this, as a business doctor, is very close to my own heart. Our mission is, as much as anything, it's to inform and educate members and give them coming back to that idea of leveling the playing field, giving them the best shot at running a really successful business by sharing around this sort of theory of abundance, by sharing around all of this knowledge, all of this information that the community has acquired over years and years, generations. And by putting that all in one place and making it freely available to our members, we think that we can really make a difference to our members and give them the tools to get back to doing what they do best and what they love best, which is, being in hospitality, being hospitable, welcoming people, enjoying relationships, and delighting in their customers' delight in the food that they serve. And that's what this sector is all about. And what we want to try and do is make it easier for our members to be able to enjoy that themselves. As we grow, we want to develop things like mentoring schemes so that more experienced members who've perhaps been through the process of opening up 5 or 6 restaurants can team up with newer members who maybe got one restaurant but are looking to add another or several more to their group. And mentors can help with that. Mentors can help other members solve problems. We want regional representation. It's really important that we don't just become an organization that helps restaurants in cities. We are here for every restaurant owner, whether they're in rural Devon, the Highlands of Scotland, or in the centre of Birmingham or Brighton. It's important to us that wherever you are and whatever your challenges may be, that there is a way that Restaurant Collective can help you resolve them. And there is someone within Restaurant Collective that's going through what you're going through and can help you as well. So that's our big picture stuff. That's our vision stuff. I think, fundamentally, on a practical level, what we've launched with, we've only been going for a month, but what we've launched with is the Deals Marketplace, because that's a really, really simple and practical way for us to help our members in the early days, just by saying, look, here are these deals, have a look at them, get the discounts. The discounts alone will save you the cost of membership. So it's a great investment. I mean, membership is only £99 a year, or if you prefer, £9.75 per month. And for that, you get access to all of these great deals. And you get access to this single page website where you can create all of your core content all in one place. And as we build our range of distribution and listing partners, then that content will appear in more and more places, and you will see more and more customers coming to you as a result of those listings. So that's where we are right now. We are a month in. We've got a long way to go. We've got some great people on side. Brian Turner is our patron, and he's been incredibly valuable in the whole process of creating Restaurant Collective, and continues to be a huge supporter. And he's so into supporting the little guy, supporting independent restaurants, and making sure that they get the best possible shot at running a great business. Hopefully, he'll be able to come on this Q&A at some point in the future. But we've got other great supporters, Michelin star chefs like Andrew Pern, Alfred Prasad. Rick Stein is a supporter of ours. James Martin is a member, founder member, and we're really delighted to have such important people on board and supporting our mission. And we hope that there'll be more and more that come along over the course of the next few months. But it's been a really good start, and we're very excited about what the future holds.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I just wanted to touch again on a point that you made, which is people are in the hospitality business to be hospitable and to welcome customers and to be with them and to serve them the most incredible food from their hearts. And that's also another reason why Restaurant Collective was created, is to take some of the stress out from, running a business. And some people also might not know how to do certain things within their business because they did it for the love of food. They didn't do it with a business background.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here, and especially yourself with an incredible wealth of business background. So we've covered what is Restaurant Collective and how it came about as an idea, and everybody on the board has a hospitality background, which is incredible. So we're not just swooping in from a business perspective. Let's make a quick coin. It's actually people who have been or are in the business trying to help their fellow operators. So, what is the ultimate goal for Restaurant Collective? What's the future that you see for Restaurant Collective?
So I think it's worth saying a couple of things. Number one, Restaurant Collective is a not-for-profit organization. So the money that is made goes right back into supporting members. It's not lining shareholders' pockets. It is there for the members. It's also a member-led organization, which means that because of the nature of it, it's not for profit construction. Every member that joins Restaurant Collective effectively acquires a share in the business. It's a company limited by guarantee. And that means if you have a share, you have a say. So we are determined to ensure that it is our members that guide the future of the collective. It is our members that should be setting the longer term strategy and helping us to find the most effective ways of helping the independent restaurant industry as we grow. So in a sense, it's quite difficult for me to answer what the ultimate goal of the collective is, because the ultimate goal will be defined by the membership. However, I suppose for me, the ultimate goal, therefore, must be to become as large and representative as we possibly can, to acquire as many members as we possibly can, and to give those members the means with which to enact whatever change they want to enact, to use the vehicle of Restaurant Collective to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. And the individuals that are running Restaurant Collective at the moment are here to help them facilitate that, whatever it may be. I mean, I would like this to be an organization with 25,000 members in 3 years' time. That would, depending on which statistics you look at, that would represent about 40% of the entire sector. And we think that's that's a very, very representative number. We think if we can get to that sort of volume of members, then we will be truly representative of every kind of restaurant in the sector, of every cuisine type, of every cultural background, of every regional, every region in the country, every town, every city. And we think, therefore, that we will be able to do more good and have more value to our members. So that's ultimately my goal. And I suppose, the objective of the collective as a whole is to be useful, to be valuable to the independent restaurant sector, and to retain that value, and be almost like, if you open a restaurant, to be the first thing that you do, the first choice that you make is you take your Restaurant Collective membership and you put it to good use, to be almost like a federation of small business for independent restaurants. That would be my ambition for us.
And I think representation is such a beautiful goal. I mean, the UK has a wealth of different hospitality and the fact that we want to represent as much of that as possible is really representative of the UK as well. So that's I really hope we achieve that, and I think we will. Now I need you to change your restaurant collective hat to your business doctor hat, and we wanted to know what piece of advice that you would give to hospitality operators who have just opened their doors to the public again as of Monday, basically.
Mm. That's a difficult one because in some ways, although I am a business doctor and a business strategist, I think many restaurant owners have been through so much over the last 12 to 18 months. They've had to be so nimble and so agile and so innovative that I wonder if there's anything I can teach them. Because we've seen amazing things come out of the restaurant sector in the past 18 months. I know it's been incredibly tough, but I think technology has probably come on at about 5 years in 1 year. The adoption of technology, the development of new technology, new systems, contactless payments, for example, these are all accelerating enormously. I think we've seen great acts of community, business owners coming together, supporting each other over the last 18 months. What I would like to say, and what advice I would give, is don't let that go away. Don't let that stop. Now things are, touching wood here, getting back to normal. The fact that we have become more community minded, the fact that we have become more agile, the fact that we have developed all of these pivots, the buzzword of the age, looking at delivery, takeaway, makeaway, all of these different options that maybe restaurants weren't doing before the pandemic, but have adopted in order to survive and to keep the doors open and to keep things going. Let's keep that going. Let's keep that innovation alive. Let's look at other ways in which we can develop as businesses. Let's look at other ways that we can innovate. Let's look at ways of effectively using the technology that's been adopted or been developed over the last 18 months to make our businesses more efficient and more cost effective. And the other thing I would say is don't lose that discipline. I mean, again, as an independent restaurant owner, it's very unlikely that you would, but that discipline of considering first principles, looking at cash flow, looking at what is possible, looking at what's achievable, and making sure that you have an exit route if you need to. But fundamentally, the most important thing of all, I think, is to just continue to delight customers, because the more we delight them, the more that they will support us, the more that they will come back to us. There's a huge amount of goodwill towards the restaurant sector at the moment. We have a summer ahead where I think that goodwill will manifest itself in very busy restaurants, heavily booked tables, and we should take advantage of that as much as we can, because it won't last forever. And I think the autumn will be a lot tougher. And my final piece of advice is, look to the autumn, look beyond this bumper season, and just make sure you've got some contingencies in place for when things quieten down again.
Thank you for that. And I agree with you. I think the summer there'll be a huge boom. I mean, most of my friends are already booking up tables. I tried to book something and it's been quite busy, which is great. But obviously, the autumn could bring a slowing down again.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, Is there any kind of strategy or kind of thought process that could be done to kind of prepare for that or prepare for any inevitabilities or not inevitabilities, things that you can't predict?
Yeah, I mean, and again, going back to my business doctor's hat, as it were, I think any professional strategist or accountant will tell you the same thing, that scenario planning is absolutely critical, whatever business that you're in, because the world has a habit of doing things that you don't expect. And whatever that may be, the more that you can anticipate, the more that you can plan for the unexpected, then the better prepared you are. And very often you find that you're better prepared than your competitors, and so you have that option to turn a risk, if you like, into an opportunity. So I think the way I usually tell my clients to think of it is to break it down and to look at risks in terms of social challenges, things that are happening in society, in the world around you that you can't control as a business owner. There's nothing you can do about it, but it's going to happen anyway. So, and that could be, trends in dining. That could be the fact that a lot of European staff have gone home and they're not coming back again, and so we're facing a shortage of staff. It could be the fact that many people in the pandemic have decided to change careers and move out of hospitality, and again, same problem, shortage of staff. How do we start to plan for that? How do we start to plan for that long term? Should we be introducing apprenticeship programs? Should we be investing more in training to mitigate the risks? Should we be going back to the top of this, talking about sharing good people between us in our community to make sure that not only can we give great opportunities to really good people, but we can really utilize them to the best of our abilities and give them as many opportunities as possible. Technology is another thing. What technology is being developed that could be a risk to your business, but it could be an opportunity to your business. So online bookings is a classic one, or delivery platforms, where the risk is the cost of managing the deliveries and the very high commissions that some of these platforms charge. The opportunity is, well, what are the alternatives, and how do we again sort of club together to look at ways that we as a local community of restaurants, for example, could do deliveries ourselves, could manage this on a platform that is free to use, for example. So it's again looking at those scenarios and imagining the alternatives. Obviously, if the pandemic comes back, what do we do? Don't forget about that ability to pivot. Don't forget that you are agile and that you can continue to be agile. What about regulatory changes, legal changes? What about the removal of the furlough scheme when it finally comes to an end? How do we plan for that? So just plans different scenarios. Look at worst cases. Look at what you do in the worst case. And if you know that you can survive the worst case, that you can imagine, then it sort of takes the pressure off anything else that happens. Because if you can get through that, then you can get through anything. And frankly, the worst case, almost beyond any of our imaginations, has already happened. And so we should be used now to looking at the alternatives that are available and making sure we got good plans for the future.
So the best advice, I guess, at this point would be to kind of keep your eyes open in current affairs and make sure that you know everything that's going on around you so that you can prepare and maybe even speak to a strategist in your local area who can assist you in any eventual kind of planning. And I guess plan for the worst, but hope for the best kind of thing. But
Well,
as you said,
plan for the worst and plan for the best, I think,
and
is
plan for the
my
best. Yeah,
scenario. It's often difficult to do this if you're a busy restaurant owner and you've got service twice a day and you don't get any time off and you're working till late at night. When do you find the time to plan? And that is the hardest thing for any small business owner, to be quite honest, is actually making the time. And it takes discipline, but if you can do it, then you will reap the benefits in the long run. And if you can just build planning time into your regular routine, then you always know that you've got some time that you can spend on the business rather than in the business, and you can really make that time count.
absolutely. Also, because your time with customers is incredibly important, your time with staff is incredibly important, and building up the relationships with your staff also tends to elongate the time they stay with you. And also because we've had these staff shortages, which have been incredibly difficult. I know a lot of restaurants are completely booked up, and they're concerned about how they're going to serve these tables, and customers are can be impatient, and it can be frustrating for the operator. So, absolutely, having contingencies, having plans in place, having a routine for your staff where you care for them are all really, really important steps. And absolutely, also with this furlough scheme coming to an end, um, you need to plan for that, and kind of always keeping in line with what the government is saying. We have Natasha's law as well coming up. That's a big change too. And just getting help from a business perspective um, will be hugely beneficial for all hospitality operators.
Well, I agree.
So I had one more question for you. So it's obviously worth having a business strategist around in your life, but how first of all, how would you find a good business strategist? Second of all, how would you know that this is the right person for you? And thirdly, how often should you be speaking to them and getting feedback from them?
Hmm. Really good questions. So I think the first thing that many business owners have to wrestle with is whether they need a support at all. And of course, many business owners don't believe they do need support because they're good at running their business. They know what they're doing. However, it is very easy to get lost in the business. It's very easy to get caught in the owner's trap, and that recognition that I've got a problem, business isn't running quite the way I want it to. I, to be honest, don't know what to do about it, and I acknowledge that I need help. That's sort of the first thing that you have to sort of decide on, and then having done that, acknowledge that you need to speak to somebody about it. Now, there are many business coaches, business advisors out there, and I would recommend to anyone do your research. Make sure that you've done your due diligence. You know that the people that you're speaking to know their business. They know what they're talking about. They understand strategy. Once you've done that, I think the most important thing is the relationship that you feel that you can form with your business advisor, because business advisors are like family. You get very, very close to them. You trust them with the most intimate detail of your business. You're asking their opinions. You're asking them for advice that you've never asked anybody else for. And it requires an extremely good, open, and trusting relationship to enable you to do that. And also to enable you to feel that you trust the advice that you're being given and that you're ready to enact it. So I think, do the due diligence, but really make sure that you get on really well with whoever it is that you decide you're going to use as a business advisor. Business advisors all work in different ways. I like to start by deconstructing the business and rebuilding it, by looking at all of the really fundamental things. What are your aspirations? Why did you go into business in the first place? What's your vision for the business? What is it that you give to your customers that nobody else gives to them? How do you make them feel? All of these sorts of questions, your why, if you like, are at the root of everything that make up a small business in particular. And from then on, we start to just rebuild the business around those fundamental foundations. What business are you in? What do you make? What do you sell? Who are your most valuable customers? What do they look like? How do they behave? Where do you find them? What are the things that you absolutely need to focus on in order to build your business to the next growth level? What is that growth level? How do you know it when you achieve it? How do you measure your success? All of these things go together into what begins with as a strategy and turns into an action plan, which is kind of a step-by-step guide to everything that you need to do. Now, if you follow that program, then what you'll find is you're working with a business advisor very intensively for a few weeks. And then after that, once you have the strategy in place, once you have the plan in place, you sort of go down to a more regular sort of upkeep relationship. And a good business advisor ends up like a non-exec director to a business. They meet up maybe for half a day a month and talk about everything that's going on in the business. You reset what needs to be reset. It's really important that business owners are held accountable as well. I think, people that run and own their own business, they've got no one to be accountable to, and that can be dangerous. So a good business advisor is the person that holds you to account as well. But once you've been through that initial intensive phase, it should be something that just, you have a light touch once every month, once every quarter, something like that.
And I love the point that you say you have to go back to why you're doing this. I think it's so easy to lose sight of the reason why you started something. So to have someone externally with no judgment kind of helping you find your passion, I guess, again, and helping you find your goals again, because it's so easy to be overwhelmed in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, at first it can be very intense to, speak so much about your business and have it not scrutinized, but looked at and, deconstructed. But looking ahead, that will kind of create the best version of your business to provide the goals that you want to the audience that you want. Because this is a universal kind of thing.
Absolutely, and it brings back the joy, the pleasure, the reward of running your own business. We don't run our own businesses for the money, just for the money. It's nice if they're profitable, if they make you good money, but really, it's a lifestyle choice. It's about being in control, running your business the way you want to run it, and enjoying the ride. And I think that's the thing we want to get back to.
Absolutely, 100%. My family used to own a restaurant, and I remember that it was just when everything was fine, it was just such a joy, and I had no time to do anything, but I loved my life because I was enjoying being with the customers. My friends would come, It's just, it is a way of life. And I think, as you said, it's very important to have such a good relationship with your business strategist, because at the end of the day, they're looking at your way of life and kind of what you love and a piece of your heart, in a sense.
Uh,
So that's excellent advice on how to find the right business strategist for you. And the last thing is, are there any kind of qualifications or certifications that we need to look for in a business strategist, just to make sure that you're going to the right person, that isn't, pretending to be someone online when they're not that person?
Um, there are qualifications. An MBA is a good one to look for. Someone who's got a master's in business administration, you'll have a sense that they know what they're doing. There are a lot of organizations that do in-house training and education. My organization, Business Doctors, invests a lot of time in that and makes sure that anybody that works within the organization is properly qualified, properly skilled, and highly trained for the job at hand, because it's not just about knowing business, it's about applying strategic principles to individual businesses in a way that makes sense to that business. So I think there's a high degree of emotional intelligence that's required for someone to be a good business advisor. So I think a lot, again, comes back to relationship. It comes back to really getting a sense of whether your advisor gets what you do and gets you and gets what's important to you, and what your values are and how you express your values and bring them to your business. I mean, there are masters in business coaching. I mean, there's a ton of qualifications. My advice, though, is, again, do the background due diligence. Make sure that you've got reasonable satisfaction that the person that you're talking to knows their business. But first and foremost, relationship is what counts.
So can you enjoy a meal with them and not go crazy? in
Exactly.
a in a sense. Well,
Exactly.
thank you so much, Paul. And if I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to say to our hospitality operators. The last thing I wanted to say is good luck with the reopening, and I wish you all the best with the summer, which we hope will go well, and to join us on in Restaurant Collective to get the most out of this incredible thing that has been around just for a month, but we're growing and offering more and more each day.
Here. Nothing I can add to that. Have a great summer. Be good to your people. Be welcoming to your customers, and it will get better.
I hope so. I really hope so. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Paul, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks very much, Isabella.
Ciao.